Let me ask you a question. Why is it that so many people start with good intentions, but end up with little to show for it? Why is it that dreams are planted, but so few ever see the harvest? It's not because they don't have goals. Oh no, most people do. They say, I want to be successful. I want to be healthy. I want financial freedom. But here's the truth. Wanting is not enough. You don't get what you want. You get what you work for. You get what you commit to. You get what you become. You see, reaching your goals isn't about having more talent, or luck, or the perfect timing. It's about philosophy. It's about discipline. It's about doing the simple things, consistently, intentionally, relentlessly. But sadly, most never do. Most people never change their routine. They never challenge their excuses. They never adjust their thinking. And so they drift. They settle. They survive. But never truly live. But not you. Not today. Because in this video, we're going to uncover the real reasons people fail, and more importantly, how you can be the exception. So buckle up, open your mind, and get ready to make the shift, because the life you want is on the other side of the action you've been avoiding. Let's begin. The missing why. Let me tell you something. I've learned after years of working with thousands of people. People don't fail because they lack ambition. They don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they lack a strong enough reason to keep going when it gets hard. You see, it's not that most people don't know what they want. They'll tell you, I want to lose weight. I want to earn more money. I want to start a business. I want a better life. But ask them why. Ask them why that goal matters. Ask them what's driving that desire. And suddenly they go quiet. Here's a truth that changed my life. If the why is strong, the how becomes easy. If your reasons are shallow, your results will be shallow. But if your reasons are deep, so deep they make you emotional, you'll move mountains. You'll find the energy. You'll find the courage. You'll find the time. Because your why becomes your fuel. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a fancy degree. What you need is fire in the belly. I remember when I was broke at 25, broke and embarrassed, a Girl Scout came to my door, selling cookies. I wanted to buy. I should have bought, but I didn't have $2 in my pocket, and I lied to her. I said, little girl, I already bought cookies. But the truth was, I didn't have the money. That day I closed the door, leaned my back against it and said, never again. That moment became one of my whys. I never wanted to feel that kind of embarrassment again. That's what pushed me to change. That's what made me study, save, sacrifice, and show up when I didn't feel like it. It wasn't about money. It was about dignity. It was about who I wanted to become. Now listen, if your why is I want to look good for summer, you'll quit when the cravings come. If your why is I want some extra cash, you'll quit when the work gets tough. But if your why is this, I want to be healthy so I can walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to build wealth so I can retire my parents. I want to succeed because I've got something to prove to the younger version of myself. That'll keep you going. That'll wake you up early. That'll get you back up after failure. That'll make you unstoppable. So let me challenge you. Don't just write down goals. Write down reasons. Write down why you want what you want, and write it like it matters, because it does. Get a piece of paper. At the top, write why I must succeed. Then list 5 reasons, not 5 wishes. 5 real, personal, emotional reasons. Because if your why is strong enough, you'll figure out the how. You'll overcome the fear. You'll push through the pain. And you'll get to say something most people never get to say. I did it, not just because I could, but because I had to. Let me leave you with this. Goals are important, but reasons are everything. They give your goals a heartbeat. They give your efforts a soul. And when your reasons are strong, your excuses disappear. Don't let your dreams die in the land of I kind of wanted it. Instead, rise up with a must, with a mission, with a meaningful why. Because once you find your why, you'll never go back to a life of maybe. Let's move forward, because now we've got a reason. The disease of drift. Have you ever felt like you're moving, but you're not getting anywhere? You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you go to bed, only to do it all over again. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Then one day you look up and wonder, how did I end up here? This wasn't the plan. But that's the point. There was no plan. You drifted. You see, drifting doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, quietly, one small compromise at a time, one missed opportunity, one delayed decision, one excuse, followed by another. Most people don't wake up and say, today I'm going to waste my life. But without intention, that's exactly what happens. Let me be clear, drifting is the silent killer of dreams, and it's dangerous because it feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels comfortable. But comfort, unchecked, becomes a cage. Drifting robs you of progress. It steals your passion, and worst of all, it convinces you that this is just the way things are. But here's the truth. Nothing changes until you change. Nothing moves until you move. And no one designs your life unless you do it. That's why I often say, if you don't make your own life plan, you'll end up living someone else's. And believe me, that someone else does not have your best life in mind. So how do you know if you're drifting? Here are some signs. You feel stuck, but you're not sure why. You've stopped setting goals. You've stopped learning. You're busy, but you're not productive. You're living on autopilot, not by design. If any of that sounds familiar, it's time to wake up. It's time to stop drifting and start designing. The good news? You don't need a perfect blueprint. You just need to grab the wheel, take control, start asking real questions. Where am I going? What kind of person am I becoming? What do I want 5 years from now? And what am I doing about it today? Because direction, not intention, determines destination. Let me say that again. Direction, not intention, determines destination. A ship without a rudder doesn't stay in place. It doesn't go where the captain dreams. It goes wherever the tide takes it. Don't let life push you around. Don't live by chance. Live by choice. It's time to pick a point on the horizon. It's time to set the sail. It's time to move with purpose. Now I want you to take 5 minutes after this chapter. Sit quietly and answer one simple question. What direction is my life currently headed in? Don't guess. Don't generalize. Be honest. Be clear. Be bold. Because when you finally stop drifting, when you finally take responsibility, everything begins to change. The currents are strong, yes, but you were made to sail. You were made to lead. You were made to choose. So stop waiting for the wind to be perfect. Adjust your sails, grab the wheel, and chart your course. No more drifting. From this moment on, you live by design. Weak plans, weaker habits. It's a fact. Most people don't plan to fail. But here's the other truth. They don't plan at all. And without a plan, even the best intentions fall apart. Let me put it simply. A goal without a plan is just a wish. A dream with no structure is just a fantasy. You can say, I want to get in shape, but if there's no plan for meals, for workouts, for consistency, you won't see results. You can say, I want to grow my income, but if there's no plan to learn, to improve, to take action, the bank account won't move. You can say, I want to live a better life, but if you're not mapping that life out, day by day, it's not going to happen. You see, one of the most powerful lessons I've learned is this. Success is not one giant leap. It's the result of small, consistent disciplines, stacked over time. But here's where most people go wrong. They make plans that are vague. They set habits that are weak, and they hope that someday life will change. But vague plans lead to vague results. Weak habits lead to weak character, and someday is not on the calendar. Let me show you the difference. Here's a weak plan. I want to read more. Here's a strong one. I will read 10 pages of a personal development book every morning before breakfast. Here's a weak habit. I'll try to eat healthier. Here's a strong one. I've prepped 5 home-cooked meals for the week, and I'll eat one every day at noon. You see the difference? One is a wish, the other is a decision. That's what separates those who succeed from those who just get by. Success is built on clarity, structure, and action. You don't have to do everything in one day, but you do have to do something every day. So let me ask you, what's your morning routine? What are your habits? What is your plan for the next 30 days? If your answer is, I don't really have one, then you've just found the reason you're stuck. Here's the good news. You can change it. You can create structure. You can design a simple, repeatable plan that moves you forward. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be real. Here's where I recommend you start. Choose one goal. Break it down into small daily actions and build a habit around it. Write it down, track it, repeat it. If it's health, your habit might be to drink more water, move your body, and cut back on sugar. If it's finances, your habit might be to budget weekly, invest monthly, and read something money-related every Friday. Whatever your goal, tie it to a system and make it so clear that you can't miss it. Why? Because when your plan is clear, your behavior becomes consistent. And when your behavior is consistent, your results become predictable. This is what I call designing your disciplines. Your habits are either helping you or hurting you. There is no neutral habit. Everything you do is either moving you closer or further from the life you say you want. So the question becomes, are your daily habits worthy of your dreams? If not, it's time to make a shift. No more vague goals. No more weak habits. No more saying, I'll start someday. Today is the day. Create your plan. Build your habits, earn your results. Because in the end, success isn't found in the big things. It's found in the small things you do every single day. Whether you feel like it or not, that's the secret. That's the formula. That's the life. Let's move forward. The pain of procrastination. Let's face it, we've all done it. We've delayed, we've put it off. We've said, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the problem. Tomorrow is a seductive liar, and procrastination is a silent thief. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It tells you, you've got time, just one more hour, just one more scroll. And before you know it, you've lost a day, a week, a year. Let me give you the truth. Procrastination is not a time issue. It's not a laziness issue. It's a priority issue. You're not putting it off because you don't have time. You're putting it off because you haven't connected it to your why. Because if it really mattered, you'd find a way. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And make no mistake, you will feel resistance. You'll feel tired. You'll feel distracted. You'll feel like waiting for the perfect moment. But let me ask you, when was the last time the perfect moment ever actually showed up? It won't, because life doesn't hand out success on silver platters. Life rewards those who show up, do the work, and keep showing up even when it's inconvenient. Now listen closely. Procrastination is clever. It doesn't look like failure. It feels like rest. But it's not rest, it's retreat. And you're not retreating because you need more sleep. You're retreating because you're afraid. Afraid it won't be perfect. Afraid you might fail. Afraid of how others will judge it. But the truth is, if you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever. Action creates clarity. Action builds momentum. And action, tiny, imperfect action, is how all great things begin. You see, procrastination is a pain, but it's a delayed pain. It doesn't hurt now, it hurts later. And that's why it's so dangerous. You skip the workout today. It doesn't matter much. Skip it for 6 months. Now your energy is down, and your confidence is gone. You ignore your finances this week. No big deal. Ignore them for 5 years. Now you're overwhelmed, in debt, and scrambling. It's not the big failures that destroy your future. It's the small delays, repeated daily. So here's what you need to decide. Will you suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Discipline weighs ounces. It's the weight of waking up a little earlier. It's the weight of making that uncomfortable phone call. It's the weight of saying no to the easy thing so you can say yes to the right thing. But regret weighs tons. It's the weight of what if. It's the weight of dreams deferred. It's the weight of realizing you were the one holding yourself back all along. You can carry the pain now and be free later, or avoid the pain now and stay stuck forever. So here's what I want you to do, right now. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Take one action today that you've been putting off. Send the message. Make the call. Start the draft. Schedule the meeting. Clean the clutter. Sign up for the class. Whatever it is, just start. Because once you start, something shifts. The fear begins to shrink. The momentum begins to grow. And the future begins to open. Remember, it's not about doing everything. It's about doing something every single day. Even if it's small, even if it's messy. Because someday is not a day of the week, and your life won't change by accident. So stop waiting, start moving, and prove to yourself that you're not here to procrastinate. You're here to dominate. Surrounded by the wrong people. Here's a truth I learned early on, and it changed everything. Who you spend time with is who you become. If you hang around people who complain, make excuses, and settle for average, guess what? You'll slowly become one of them. Not because you want to, but because environment is stronger than willpower. You see, success is not just about what you do, it's also about who you're doing life with. Think about it. How many times have you been motivated, fired up, ready to change your life, and then you talk to someone, and they pour cold water all over your fire? You say, I'm starting a new business. And they say, that's risky. What if it doesn't work? You say, I'm waking up early now to work on myself. And they say, come on, relax, you've changed. Yes, you've changed. And that's the problem. They haven't. Let me tell you something important. Some people aren't bad. They're just bad for your future. They're stuck in fear. They're stuck in mediocrity, and they want you to stay stuck with them, because your progress threatens their comfort. Now hear this loud and clear. You don't owe anyone your potential. You can love people, and still limit access to your mind and your energy. You can be kind, and still create boundaries. You can be loyal, without sacrificing your dreams. So ask yourself, who's speaking into your life? Who are you listening to every day? Who's influencing your decisions, your beliefs, your habits? Because you are always becoming something, and the people closest to you are helping shape that future, whether you see it or not. Now I know what some people are thinking, but Jim, I don't have successful friends yet. That's okay, because you can borrow mentorship. You can spend time with great minds, even if they've never met you. Read their books, watch their interviews, study their habits, let their mindset become your standard. Because here's the goal, to surround yourself with people who remind you of where you're going, not just where you've been. Find people who challenge you to rise, people who celebrate growth, people who talk about goals, not just gossip, people who are more interested in progress than comfort. That's the kind of environment that produces real success. So here's your assignment. Take inventory. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then ask yourself this question for each person. Are they lifting me higher or pulling me down? Be honest. This isn't about judgment. It's about direction. Because your direction will determine your destination. And if you want to change your life, one of the first things you must change is your circle. Choose wisely, because the right people will push you. They'll support you. They'll believe in you before the results show up. And when you fall down, they won't laugh. They'll lift. Success leaves clues. And one of the biggest is this: winners run with winners. So run with people who run toward growth. Walk with those who walk in wisdom. And if you have to walk alone for a while, do it with purpose. Because walking alone toward your dreams is better than walking with a crowd toward regret. Let's move forward, with the right people and the right mindset. Because your future deserves a circle that pulls you forward, not holds you back. The enemy called excuses. Let me say something that might sting a little, but if it helps you grow, it's worth it. Your excuses are lying to you. They sound smart, they sound reasonable. They even sound protective. But make no mistake, they are stealing your future. You know what an excuse is? It's a well-packaged lie. We tell ourselves to feel better about doing less. We say, I don't have time. I don't have the resources. I wasn't born into the right family. I'm too old. I'm too young. It's just not the right season. But here's the truth. It's never the conditions. It's the decisions. Because someone out there had less time, less money, more pain, more pressure, and still made it happen. They didn't wait for perfect. They didn't make excuses. They made adjustments. They took responsibility. That's the word I want you to remember. Responsibility. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you respond. You can choose your attitude. You can own your outcomes. Now I get it. Excuses feel comfortable. They help you avoid discomfort. They protect your ego from failure, but they also block you from success. And the worst part, the more you use excuses, the better you get at using them. You become an expert at defending limitations. You become so good at explaining why you can't, that you forget you can. Let me give you a powerful idea. You can have excuses, or you can have results. But you can't have both. One leads to regret. The other leads to reward. So how do you break free? You start by telling yourself the truth. Instead of I don't have time, say I haven't made it a priority. Instead of I don't know how, say I haven't learned it yet. Instead of I'm too busy, say I haven't been managing my time well. Now that's real talk. And real talk leads to real growth. Here's what I want you to do. Take out a notebook. Write down the top 3 excuses you've been using lately. Be honest. No filters. No justifications. Now under each one write this phrase. What's the truth behind this excuse? You'll be surprised what you discover. You might realize that fear is hiding behind your procrastination. You might realize that perfectionism is disguising itself as preparation. You might realize that self-doubt is wearing the mask of waiting for the right time. But once you call it out, once you put it on paper, you take away its power. Excuses thrive in the dark, but they die in the light of truth. So here's the bottom line. You're not limited by your situation. You're limited by your story. And the moment you rewrite the story, you rewrite your life. Remember, the voice in your head that says, you can't, is usually just your comfort zone, trying to keep you small. But you weren't born to live small. You were born to grow, to stretch, to rise. So drop the excuses. Pick up the responsibility and go do the thing you've been putting off. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the more you act, the quieter your excuses become, and the louder your results speak for you. Let's move forward. Excuse-free, fear-free, full of fire. They stop too soon. Here's a pattern I've seen far too often. People get excited. They get started. They take a few steps forward. But the moment it gets uncomfortable, the moment progress slows down, the moment results don't come fast enough, they stop, and that's the tragedy. They weren't missing talent. They weren't missing opportunity. They were just missing endurance. Let me say this loud and clear. Most people don't fail. They just stop too soon. They quit when it's boring. They quit when it's hard. They quit when it's not convenient. And what they don't realize is, they were closer than they thought. You see, the journey to your goal is full of invisible walls. You can't see them until you're almost there. And if you stop at the wall thinking it's the end, you'll never know that breakthrough was just one more step away. Success is not for the most talented. It's for the most committed, the most consistent, the most stubborn. That's right. Sometimes the best thing you can be is stubborn about your dream. Now you might say, but Jim, I gave it everything I had. And I would say, how do you know? How do you know you didn't quit at 40% of your capacity? How do you know what would have happened if you pushed just one more day, one more week, one more round? Let me tell you something you won't hear from the crowd. Winners don't stop when it gets hard. They stop when it's done. And sometimes it takes longer than you planned. Sometimes it takes more work than you imagined. Sometimes it takes more patience than you expected. But that's what makes it worth it. That's what makes it yours. You don't get strong by quitting. You get strong by pushing through, by choosing consistency over comfort, by saying, this isn't the end. This is just a test. Tests don't come to destroy you. They come to develop you, to prepare you for the next level. So the question is, can you keep going after the motivation wears off? Can you show up after the novelty fades? Can you believe even when there's no applause? Because that's what separates finishers from starters. That's what turns average into unstoppable. Listen to me carefully. There are two types of pain in the pursuit of a goal. The pain of continuing and the pain of giving up. One pain lasts for a moment. The other lasts for a lifetime. So when you feel tired, when you feel discouraged, when you feel like it's taking too long, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself who's watching. Remind yourself who's depending on you to keep going. You didn't come this far just to stop. You didn't invest this time just to quit. You didn't grow this much just to give it all up. Keep going. Even when it's slow. Even when it's messy. Even when no one else understands. Because one day, you'll look back at this exact moment, and you'll be grateful you didn't walk away. Let's move forward, with strength, with discipline, and with the decision that quitting is no longer an option. No personal philosophy. There's a quiet reason why most people never rise above average. And it's not their income. It's not their education. It's not their circumstances. It's their philosophy. Now, when I say philosophy, I don't mean some complicated system from a textbook. I mean your guiding principles, your view of life, your way of thinking, your personal code. Everyone has a philosophy, whether they know it or not. The question is it helping you or hurting you? You see, most people don't fail because of a lack of effort. They fail because of a lack of guidance. They don't have a set of values. They don't have a framework. They don't have a personal standard to live by. So they drift. They react to life instead of responding with intention. They follow the crowd instead of leading themselves. Let me tell you something that changed my life. Your philosophy is your foundation. And if the foundation is weak, the house will crumble. If you want long-term success, lasting, meaningful success, you need a philosophy that holds up under pressure. Because life will test you. Opportunities will come, but so will setbacks. Distractions will tempt you. Criticism will challenge you. And without a strong philosophy, you'll fold. You'll make short-term decisions. You'll chase comfort over character. You'll break down instead of breaking through. So let me ask you, what is your personal philosophy? What do you believe about growth? What do you believe about failure? What do you believe about time, about money, about relationships, about responsibility? Because if you don't know what you believe, you'll believe whatever feels good in the moment, and that is dangerous. A personal philosophy gives you something to stand on, something to come back to when life shakes you, something to guide your decisions when everything else is unclear. Let me give you a few simple philosophies that have served me well. Number 1, success is something you attract by the person you become. That means you don't chase success. You become someone success is drawn to. Number 2, Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. That mindset puts the power back in your hands. It removes blame and invites growth. Number 3, discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. It reminds you that short-term sacrifice creates long-term freedom. These aren't just clever sayings. They're anchors. They're tools. They're truths you can build a life on. Now it's your turn. Take time this week to write down your personal philosophy. What do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? What are your truths? The ones that keep you grounded, focused, and moving forward. And once you have it, live by it. Let it shape how you spend your time. Let it guide how you speak, how you serve, how you grow. Because when your philosophy is clear, your path becomes clearer. And when your path is clear, you stop reacting and start leading. You become intentional. You become resilient. You become unshakable. Don't just go through life blindly. Don't borrow your beliefs from people who gave up on their own dreams. Craft your own philosophy. Refine it. Live it. Because that philosophy will become the compass for your life. Let's move forward. Not just with activity, but with clarity. Not just with hustle, but with wisdom. Because the strongest lives are built on a strong foundation. And that foundation is your philosophy. They don't review, adjust, or reflect. Here's a habit that separates the successful from the stuck. Review, adjust, reflect. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But don't let the simplicity fool you. Most people don't do it. They set goals in January, then forget them by February. They make decisions, but never look back to see if those decisions are working. They're busy, yes, but they never pause to ask, is this actually taking me where I want to go? Let me give it to you straight. If you don't stop and look at your life will keep repeating itself. You'll make the same mistakes, repeat the same habits, blame the same circumstances, and wonder why nothing changes. But change doesn't happen just because you want it. Change happens when you evaluate where you are, decide what needs to shift, and have the courage to make the adjustment. Success is a process of constant correction. Even airplanes flying at hundreds of miles per hour are off course 90% of the time. But they arrive at their destination because the system is always adjusting. Tiny corrections, constant feedback. That's how they land exactly where they're supposed to. Now think about that. If a machine flying through the sky needs adjustment to stay on course, how much more do you and I need it? So let me ask you, when was the last time you sat down and asked, what's working in my life right now? What's not working? What habits are moving me forward? And which ones are holding me back? This isn't just about goals. It's about your health, your finances, your relationships, your mindset. Every area of your life deserves a review. And review doesn't mean shame. It doesn't mean guilt. It simply means awareness. Because awareness is the first step to powerful change. When you know what's really going on, you can make better decisions. You can pivot. You can grow. But if you never stop to reflect, you're stuck guessing. You're driving with no map. And eventually you get lost. Now here's the other part. Don't just review, adjust. If something's not working, change it. If your schedule is draining you, redesign it. If your habits aren't aligned with your goals, rework them. Successful people don't fall in love with a method. They fall in love with the mission. And they're willing to adjust the method until it serves the mission. And after you review, and after you adjust, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn this week? How did I grow this month? What am I proud of? What can I improve next time? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. And wisdom is what allows you to move forward with confidence. So here's your action plan. Every week schedule 30 minutes. Just 30. No distractions. No excuses. Sit down with a pen and paper. Review your week. Adjust your strategy. Reflect on your growth. Do that consistently, and your life will begin to compound. You'll stop wasting time. You'll start seeing patterns. You'll start feeling momentum. And that momentum, it'll carry you through the hard days. It'll remind you that progress is happening, even when it doesn't feel like it. So don't be like most people. Don't run through life blindfolded. Stop, look around, evaluate, refocus. Because the winners don't just work harder, they work smarter. Let's move forward. Not with blind activity, but with clarity, wisdom, and purpose. Your future is waiting, but only if you're willing to pause, reflect, and adjust your way toward it. They forget the bigger picture. Let me ask you a question. Why did you start? Not just the goal, not just the task, but the real reason behind it all. Because somewhere along the journey, most people forget. They get caught in the daily grind. They get lost in the numbers, the pressure, the to-do lists, and they stop seeing the bigger picture. And that's dangerous, Because when you lose sight of the bigger picture, you lose your energy, you lose your motivation, you lose your reason to keep going. You start asking, what's the point? Why does this even matter? And slowly, the passion fades. Let me remind you of something powerful. This is not just about achievement. This is about becoming. Goals are not just about what you get. They're about who you grow into. When you set a goal to become financially free, it's not just about the money. It's about becoming disciplined, focused, and strategic. When you set a goal to be healthy, it's not just about weight or looks. It's about becoming someone who values energy, longevity, and self-respect. When you set a goal to impact others, it's not about ego. It's about service, legacy, purpose. That's the bigger picture. It's not the title. It's not the trophy. It's not even the finish line. It's the journey. It's the development. It's the version of you that's required to make it real. You see, the bigger picture isn't just what you do. It's why you do it. And when you're clear on your why, you can endure anyhow. So take a moment, step back from the stress, step back from the chaos, and zoom out. Ask yourself, why did I start this path in the first place? What kind of life do I truly want to build? What kind of person do I want to become? Because if the only thing you're chasing is the goal, you'll be disappointed when you get it. But if you're chasing purpose, growth, and meaning, you'll find fulfillment along the way. Let me give you one more truth. The goal is not the destination. The goal is the vehicle for your transformation. So stay focused. Yes, work hard. Yes, but never forget the bigger picture. This isn't about proving something to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. That you were capable. That you were disciplined. That you didn't quit when it was hard. That you built a life that meant something. Because in the end, nobody remembers how fast you ran. They remember why you ran. They remember what you stood for. And most importantly, you remember who you became. Let's move forward. Not just with goals, but with vision, with purpose, and with a picture of the life worth fighting for. Become the exception. Most people will never reach their goals. Not because they didn't dream. Not because they didn't want more. But because they never made the decision to become more. They didn't define their why. They drifted without direction. They settled for weak plans and weaker habits. They let procrastination take root. They stayed around the wrong people. They hid behind excuses. They quit too early. They lived without a guiding philosophy. They never took the time to reflect, adjust, and grow. And somewhere along the way, they forgot the bigger picture. But that doesn't have to be your story. You can be the exception. You can be the one who wakes up. The one who takes responsibility. The one who says, enough is enough. I'm building my life with intention. You can become the person who stops living by default and starts living by design. But make no mistake, it won't be easy. You'll face setbacks. You'll feel fear. You'll be tempted to give in, to play small, to settle. And that's the test. Will you go back to the comfort zone? Or will you push forward into the growth zone? Will you echo the crowd? Or will you step into your own greatness? Here's what I believe. You already have everything you need. The mind, the heart, the potential. You just need to make the choice. The choice to rise. The choice to take the first step. And then the next one. The choice to stop making excuses. The choice to show up when it's hard. The choice to stay the course, even when the results are invisible. Because that's what winners do. They don't wait for the right time. They create the right time. They don't talk about what they're going to do someday. They take action today. You see, average is always crowded. But the top, that space is reserved for the few who are willing to do what most won't. So here's my challenge to you. Be one of the few. Be the exception. Be the person who finishes what they start. Be the person who becomes what they believe. And one day, you'll look back with pride. Not just because you reached your goal, but because of who you had to become to reach it. That's the reward. That's the victory. That's the life. Now go live it.